Hello, everybody. I'm Digimon11, joined today by Marcos Flores, and today we're going to interview the one and only FTA.
That guy sucks.
Yeah, I know, right?
What a jerk.
Yeah. So, how you doing, Gareth?
I am doing very well today, good sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine.
Good to hear. So, I gotta ask, man, what would two fine young gentlemen as yourselves be wanting to do, wasting your Sunday evening talking to an old loser like me?
Well,
first of all, it's Sunday, kind of one of the most boring days of the week, so you know, figure, well, why not kill our time?
Good point.
And I actually kind of do want to do stuff like interview people for a living, like a journalist. So I might get you're welcome. Thank you. So I might get a communications major or something.
You're welcome for that too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. and before we start, I just need to know, how is Emily doing?
Thank you for asking. Emily is doing good after the charity stream. We reached our goal. From what I understand, she's entered into her second round of chemo and seems to be doing very well. So thank you so much for asking.
Yeah. All right. So you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Question 1: how did you first get into video games?
When I was like maybe 4 or so, I got a NES, a Nintendo Entertainment System, for Christmas one year, which came with Super Mario Bros. 3, one of the best platformers ever made. So
thank you.
Luckily, I started very well in my gaming days. Nowadays, people would argue the games I play are not so good, but you know, whatever.
Your face. All right. I'll be asking the second question. We noticed that you make Sonic videos and whatnot, but how did you get first into Sonic the Hedgehog?
My earliest recollection of Sonic the Hedgehog was I was about 5 or 6, I think, maybe even younger, and my parents had like a party at a friend's house. I remember going to it, and I remember just seeing the box for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and just looking at the box thinking, this is awesome, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen, I have to play this game. And then as soon as that happened, I just kind of bugged my parents for if I could get a Mega Drive, and like after about a year or so I finally got one. But yeah, just literally just seeing the box art was like, I have to see it, I have to see it.
Which leads us into our next question: what's your favorite game in the franchise?
This is always a cop out for people to break it down between 2D and 3D. But
Fine. Favorite 2D and favorite 3D.
Favorite 2D. I go back in terms of 2D. I always go back and forth between 2 and 3 and K. Today I'm feeling more in the realm of 2, so I'm gonna say Sonic 2. Although I do go back and forth quite a bit in terms of 3D. I'm gonna say Colors.
Yeah, at least they're good games.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't get people who don't like Sonic 2 or Colors. I don't. I mean, I know we should all try and get along, but shut up if you don't like those games.
Alright, well, I'll admit, when I first played Colors, I was extremely disappointed, only because everyone would tell me, oh my god, it's one of the best games ever, and then, okay, I'll play this, and like, it's a game, but I was looking at it from, I was looking at it from, like, games I usually play. I wasn't thinking about the dark ages of the franchise, like an ordinary game.
I had that with Sonic CD. I had played Sonic CDs years after hearing it's the best game ever made, ever in the history of the universe. And then playing it, I was like, LOL, no, this game is not very good.
Isn't the Whitehead remake actually really good?
Oh yes, it's superior.
It's superior, and like he fixes some things, but unfortunately he can't fix the level design or bosses, which are bad.
Level design.
I didn't. I mean, like, I can kind of see why people do appreciate it. I just unfortunately, I mean, I haven't spoken with anyone who praises the game, who thinks the bosses are great. The bosses are some of the worst bosses in the franchise, for my money, bar none.
Even worse than the egg dealer from Shadow the Hedgehog.
At least the egg dealer poses some kind of challenge. You know?
Really?
Not a challenge, but I would argue the egg dealer is a harder boss than anything in CD. I mean, the fact that the final boss you fight is a giant toilet fan, it's like, okay, whatever.
Right. To this day, I think the hardest Eggman boss is the one from Advance 2 with that giant hands.
Oh, Sky Canyon, you cheap piece of crap.
First of all, that level is poorly designed. I remember when
Exactly, it's a cheap piece of crap.
I remember I was a little boy playing it, and I kept dying at Act 2, and then I just randomly clicked the button while I was in the air. It's like, I'm supposed to do a jump trick, and the game never told me about this.
I learned that the hard way.
Pretty much.
And when I got to the boss, I'm like, yay! I got slapped, and somehow I died despite the fact that I had a bunch of rings.
And some people think Advance 2 is the best game in the trilogy.
Yeah, I can see why. Except for that one boss. And collecting all the Chaos Emeralds, oh my god.
Oh, well, none of the Advance games have good special stages. But 2 is the worst way to get to them. It's hands down the worst way.
Hands down.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be the one recording it for the channel eventually.
Have fun with that.
You poor bastard.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do Sonic 06.
Alright, moving on to the next question. Marcos, take it away.
Alright, question number 4. Who's your favorite character in the franchise?
It could be any incarnation.
Any incarnation? Ooh. Then Sonic from Sonic the Comic. I love how much of an, for lack of a better word, dickhead he is in that book. He just toys with people for no good reason. He's such a sarcastic bastard that I love his interpretation in Sonic the Comic. There's moments where like he pretends to be killed just to like mess with Tails. It's like he's such a dick in that book. It's awesome.
Isn't that kind of what he originally was in the 90s, how they promoted him?
Well, that stuff, like in the 90s, he was more of like, he had attitude and like he would use like buzzwords, and the writer for that Nigel Kitchen was like, I can't write that, like, because I'm an older man. I don't know like what's with the kids these days, so if I can just make him into a jerk, it'll like be interesting, and it is. That's still one of my favorite interpretations of that character, is how he's portrayed in Sonic the Comic.
A shame that it had to end due to the reprints.
Yeah, I mean that was a shame, but I think it had a good run. You know, I still have to go back and reread old issues. It is. I would probably say now, due to time, I would probably say Archie is the better of the two, but I think FTC has some of the best comic, like adaptations of Sonic in a different medium.
Well, to be fair, like they did the best with what they had, and unlike R2, which had to rely on Satayam and Adventures at the time, this one they could do whatever they want.
It's weird because you say that, but like STC is a lot closer to the games.
Yeah,
like it's a lot closer to the games than most other adaptations are.
Yeah, because like again, that's this
with
one.
With the exception of the SA1 adaptation, which is nothing like SA1 at all. But
it's still better than the Archie one. I'll give you that. I
haven't had the pleasure of reading that one yet, but one day if I get around to it, maybe I will agree with you.
Just trust me on that. If you want to see Amy Rose with a boner.
Thanks for reminding me of that panel.
I have DeviantArt for that. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Granted, in both defenses, and with Fleetway they had, and both Archie and Fleetway they were given very little information. In Archie's case, they had to translate the Japanese script that Patrick Spaziante had, and like went with it, and it also interfered with their plans. I'm not sure what Fleetway had to do, but it was the final story arc, if I can remember.
Well, in Fleetway's case, like, they were just asked to adapt it, but at that point, like, Nigel Casey pretty much just took the character of Chaos and just changed everything, and like these slight, like, going back in time ideas, but like it doesn't follow the plot of SK1 app, and it just has a few ideas from it.
Alright. Next question. So what led you, Nintom64, and the Hell Dragon to form Hellfire Comms?
I'll be honest with you, in terms of the forming, I had nothing to do with it. Hellfire Comms was already formed by the time I joined it, so I forget how it was formed. You'd have to ask one of them, I'm afraid. I know nothing about how it was formed.
Alright.
Okay. That's the next question. Well, do you feel that like you guys have started the whole commentary fad?
Like everyone's doing it now, I guess.
I don't think we started it because I never set out to do game LPs. To be honest with you, so I don't think we started. I believe there was people beforehand, and I would say, HFC it inspired a few people. Like Brain Scratch always say they were kind of inspired by HFC, but I don't think even at its most popular, I don't think you could give HFC credit for making LPs as big of a thing as they are now. Like we probably, it obviously inspired a few people here and there, but I don't think you could say that HFC was responsible for how big it is now. I'd say probably the biggest one is Game Grumps. I'd say since they started and became so popular, now you throw a rock and you find like an LP channel on YouTube. I
never understood the appeal of Game Grumps.
Me neither.
To disrespect anybody.
Well, Game Grumps is I haven't watched too much of this stuff, so I'm not really one to talk about it. But really, it was from a marketing standpoint, it was a genius idea. You take these two people who already have big fan bases established, and you put them together. And so they've all, because you're already coming in with a built-in fan base. Obviously it's going to get views and people are going to like it. Because you get certain fans of anything, like movies or bands or entertainers, but they'll just like anything they do, just because they're fans. So you get some of that. I mean, I don't follow Game Grumps too much. I've watched a few videos of them here and there. I was, at best I was mildly entertained. At worst, I was indifferent to them. So again, I'm not really wanting to talk, but I get why they were so successful. It's because going into it, they had such big pre-established fan bases.
Alright, we'll move on to the next question. What was the origin behind FindAComputerRoom.com?
The origin of that was years ago when I was a mere lad. Me and my friend Torch, we were really big into. There was this online sprite comic called Power Rings. That I'm not sure if it's still up. I haven't looked for it in years. But we would read this thing and we thought it was hysterical. So we decided originally Find a Computer Man in its earliest iteration was just going to be a sprite comic. And in terms of and then after a while we decided, hey, let's just do a full-fledged website. And in terms of the name, we spent about a good 2 hours trying to come up with a name, and we didn't want Sonic in the title because you throw a rock, you get like Sonic Stadium, Sonic Retro, Sonic Rex, Sonic News Network, blah 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 blah. So we didn't want to have the word Sonic in the title, but we wanted to have wanted to name it something where if you were a Sonic fan, you'd get the reference. And so after a while, I just kind of hit. I was just like, Find the Computer Room. And it was like, okay, because I think at that point Shadow was fairly new as a game, ? I forget when we came up with the idea, but I think Shadow was one of the newer games at the time, so it was still like fresh in our minds. And so Finding a Computer just kind of made sense. In terms of the content, at that point in time, I still am to a certain extent, but I was really into Transformers at that point in time. And coming from England, the British company that held the distribution rights was a company called Metronome. And they were releasing all kinds of like the old original G1 cartoon and some of the Japanese exclusives like Headmasters, Supercode Master Force, and Victory. And they enlisted the help of a Irish Transformers superfan called Chris McFeely, who had done a bunch of audio commentaries for their DVD sets. And for some reason, Mr. McFeely took it upon himself just to record some random commentaries of some of the older episodes and release them online. And I would download those and listen to those a lot. I think he only did 2, but I must have listened to those an awful lot. And so I was like, hey, why don't we do this for the Sonic cartoons? Because at that point in time, like there was, I think at that where we started, with the exception of Boom, obviously, all of the cartoons had been out already. So we had AOSTH, Saturday M, Underground, X, and the OVA talk over. So we started, like at that point, neither of us had any equipment to do game recording, and so we at that point that was a pipe dream. We knew we wouldn't have any way to do that, but the commentaries would just be a kind of easy way for us to do content about Sonic and put it on YouTube. That was back in the days when you could kind of get away with like cartoon commentaries on YouTube before they started cracking down and stuff like that.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, when you were doing the underground commentary, were you drunk? Because you sounded so different. Like, isn't it great? Isn't it great?
We did that on purpose because we thought. I think that. God, it's been so long since we did those. Most of the time, though, we would record those at night. Like after all my family went to bed, this was me and Torch huddled by my PC, speaking into a crappy microphone, trying not to be too loud. But I believe for that one, the one where we go, isn't it great? Isn't it great? I believe we did that as a April Fool's special. We uploaded that as we talk about how much we like Underground. Yeah, we used to do fun things like that. Not anymore. We don't do anything fun anymore.
Anyway, continue on.
All right. The next question is, what's it like going to conventions and meeting voice actors and musicians?
It's always fun, It's always a thrill to be able to meet people who work on stuff you love. I mean, I've been fairly lucky to. I've been able to go to a few of these, so I, not quote unquote friends with these people, but I've seen them enough where we recognize each other. Like Sonic Boom, the event earlier from this year, I was able to meet up because I'm friends with a lot of people who are closer with friends. So basically, I'm friends of friends with these people to a certain extent. And when June Sonoy, luckily I had friends who were good friends, who work on June's website. And so we knew where he was going to be staying, so he agreed that we could go and meet him. And I did. So it was weird when we see June because June's pretty good at recognizing people, and it was funny because Smoothies was there, and at Sonic Boom last year, Smoothies had shaved his head and had everyone sign it. And so June Snow was like, "I signed your head last year." That was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, I love him. Mike Pollock is someone who, I would probably say he is the. I don't know if he would class us as friends, but he's probably the one I am on best terms with because I've seen him probably more than anyone else. And yeah, so it's fun. It's weird because I never would have before I started FTCR. If you would have told me that in a few years I would have met so many of these people so many times. And gotten pictures and been able to interview them and stuff, I'd have been like, "You're crazy, you're out of your mind." But here we are. The future's crazy.
The future, and I'm going to tell you that you will meet Mike Pollock many times.
I'd been like, "That's awesome." That's the extent of how happy I get. I was like, "Yeah, that's awesome. Get out of my house, you freak."
I actually was going to go to Sonic Boom this year since I live in the area.
I should have gone, man. It was fun.
Yeah, but life issues.
Yeah, life sucks.
Hey, Oh yeah, I would have been nice to finally meet you in person and Chris and some call me Johnny as well.
Johnny was fun. Meeting Johnny was fun.
How's that Sonic Shuffle thing going?
All right, that we have that. We at this point we actually have quite a few stuff. We have a couple of completed LPs and one-off videos done that it'd be fun when that goes online. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Well, who's your favorite person to interview?
You mean like who was the most, like who gave the best interview, or who was just the most fun to
Yeah.
speak with?
The one that you had
Which
the
one?
most. The one that you had the most fun.
Oh, the most fun. What? I would probably say, even though I've never technically met him face to face, I would probably say the first time I interviewed Ian Flynn holds a special place, because I thought that went quite well, and I learned a lot of stuff on that. That was fun. I mean, interviewing Mike is always a laugh, because Mike's always such a funny person. So interviewing Mike is good fun. Jason Griffith was probably the one I was most excited for. I remember because we interviewed Mike and Jason the first day, and I remember I was excited to meet Mike. I was really excited to meet Jason, and so that was, I'd probably say the first and then the Jason, probably my favorite ones.
And I haven't seen the Jason Griffith yet. I've seen parts of it, but did you really ask about Spax Free in that video?
What?
Did you really ask him about Spax Free?
We had to. It was such a big thing, man. Like we originally, we asked him that as an aside. Like we weren't going to include it, and I thought, unfortunately, the only reason we bring it up was because the hate for the 4Kids cast got to such extremes within the Sonic fan base that, to me, when you have something like that, it's kind of it's worthwhile to bring up, you know. Like if Spax 3 hadn't been such a unfortunately big figurehead, and the Sonic YouTube fan base a few years back wouldn't have been. But most people, at least people who have been Sonic fans on YouTube for 5 years or so, I think most people remember who Spax is or know of him now. You know, if it had just been some random idiot who made one video, I wouldn't have brought it up. The fact that Spax went on for so long. You know, Jason laughed about it. We asked him, he's like, "Oh yeah, I know who Spax 3 is," and that was such a I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting him to know offhand remember so much about Spax. But yeah.
You know, personally, from what I've seen lately, the whole voice acting, hate who's the better voice acting thing, kind of died down until 2012 when Ryan Drummond did that interview, saying that he was going to return.
Well, that was actually revealed before, yeah, because yeah. It's weird though, because that's more of a case of that would be more of a case for fans to be annoyed with, I guess, say Sega, as opposed to any of the actors per se.
Yeah.
You know, I don't get people who hate Griff. I prefer the other ones. I think Jason started off a bit weak. I'll be honest with you, but towards the end, I like his performance in Black Knight is one of my favorite performances. I think he's so good in Black Knight.
Yeah. Well, wasn't that his time voice acting though? When he first started as Sonic and X?
I think it may have been one of his earliest ones. Maybe I'll double check that, but possibly.
I think it's safe to say that we should all be grateful that Jason Griffith didn't voice Chris Thorndike.
Although I'll be honest with you, him using his Sonic voice would have made the Chris character a lot more bearable. Because a lot of what to me, I find annoying about Chris is partly his dialogue and his voice. No disrespect to his voice actress, but like that's not a pleasant voice to hear screaming the episode.
I still wish they casted Veronica Taylor to voice Hills. There's a guy on YouTube that asked her to do her Ash Ketchum voice as Tails. So I was like,
oh no, she asked him. I mean, I've seen a video. He asked her to voice Tails. I'll do my Ash voice as Tails. I believe, I believe she was actually the original voice of Princess Elise before they got Lacey Chabert to voice her.
Oh my god.
Whoa, dodged a bullet there.
she keeps getting if I recall correctly, she was originally going to be the voice of Palutena for Kid Icarus Uprising. Originally.
Hey, I think she's making enough money off fan conventions as Ash's voice. She's set for life. She's good.
Yeah. Moving back to the interview, there was one question I forgot to ask you. When you're interviewing people, what do you do to prepare yourself?
It depends. If it's one that I know I'm going to do, like the Mike Pollock one, the Jason one, the ones any ones I've done on Skype, I will always research. There's been a couple I've had to just make stuff up on the fly. Like the first time I interviewed Mike Pollock, I had no idea he was going to be at SOS 2011. So I asked him if he'd like to interview, and I just kind of pull stuff out of my ass for a few minutes. But normally I like to prepare so I don't miss anything out. Depends, like, if it's a voice actor, I'll do research into some of the previous roles, because like you don't want to, like, if when you interview like a voice actor, like say, and obviously as a Sonic fan, it's primarily going to be about Sonic. I find it makes it kind of easier for the interviewee if you ask them a broad range of topics. Like if it's just like, what you do in this Sonic game, what you do in that Sonic game, like I find it helps them a little bit if you ask about other projects as well. Most of the time I like to start with like how they got started, like in the Mike Pollock and Jason Griffith interviews, they both start with like how they got into acting, how they got into voice acting, what have you. Same thing with Ian Flynn, like how did he get started in writing, how did he get started in comic books, blah 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 blah. It's always nice to get a bit of backstory about the person, a bit of backstory about the person you're interviewing before you get into the meat of it, which would be their in terms of FTCR, which would be obviously their connection to Sonic the Hedgehog. And how they got started, what they feel about it. Something I find with a lot of the voice actors is, as much as it means to us, to them, it's 9 times out of 10, it's just a job to them. They don't, they're obviously not as invested as the fans are.
Yeah.
I mean, like Mike Pollock, as much as he, obviously, likes the paycheck he gets for being, Eggman, and how much is he interacts with fans. He pretty much doesn't know. He pretty much doesn't remember much of anything about like voicing it. Like every time I ask him specific questions, he's always just like, I don't remember. Like I don't know. Like his when you ask him about specific lines, I think one of his go-to responses was, if I asked him about like Sonic Lost World, he'd say, that's something I spent 3 hours on 2 years ago. I don't really remember too much about it. So like it's. So sometimes depending on who you're speaking with, not all the actors remember as much, obviously, because as I said before, like I don't think most of the actors will, like, obviously they won't trash the franchise because they're employed by it at one time or another, but I don't think most of them followed it to the same extent as the fans have.
Yeah. And just out of random curiosity, do you ever plan to like expand yourself? Like, we'll find a computer. Or ever plan to do something outside of just Sonic?
Find the computer room will not. I have plans for other stuff, but I don't like. I've learnt from past experiences not to talk too much about things so they happen. Because in the past, it's been several times when I've been like, the website's going to be open at this point. Doesn't happen. The website's going to be open at this point. Doesn't happen. From now on, I've learned to work on things behind the scenes, but not shoot my mouth off until I have, until I can actually promise something. Because that's annoying. But yeah, I have plans. I mean, the stuff I do now, like I haven't promoted it too much, and I probably should. There's if you go to iTunes, I'm part of a podcast called the Pack Rat Comics Review. We do weekly podcast.
Yeah, I listen to that.
Oh, thank you so much. It's good to know at least one person does. So I do other things here and there, but at some point, I love the franchise. I mean, it's hard to say this without sounding like a crazy fan, but about the Sonic franchise, I wouldn't be here to where I am today. Not in the sense that I'd be dead, but I wouldn't be in this house where I am now talking to you if it wasn't for the Sonic. I wouldn't be married without Sonic franchise, so it's a franchise that is very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, I understand.
It's good.
And if there's one thing I've learned from listening to Pack Rat comments or any podcast reviewing, never listen to it before class, because I will laugh. I will constantly laugh.
I try. I try. I try to entertain, and most times I fail.
No, you do a good job. To the point where people
Thank you,
look at
good sir.
To the point where people look at me like, "What's you laughing at?"
That weird guy. Okay. All right, on to the next question. So we know that you read, Sonic the comic. Do you currently read like the Sonic Archie comics? If so, what's your opinion on them?
Yep. I have been monthly since Worlds Collide. I'm currently going back and getting all the trades. I love it. I think since Ian Flynn, pre-Ian Flynn is very miss, and for my money it lands mostly on the miss. I haven't read all of the 159 issues before Ian started, so I've only read maybe a tenth of that stuff, but from what I have read, not too much of it is that good, but I'm loving. I mean, obviously, I feel like such a shameless plug here, but again, the FTCR podcast, Sonic Says, is all about the Archie book, and we read the new issues, we review trades. I'm loving it. It's one of. I get a bunch of books monthly now. Thanks to Worlds Collide, I'm now a monthly comic book collector. Something my wife is not too happy about because I spend an ungodly amount of money on those stupid books every month. But the Archie book is one of my favorite books. It's one of the books I look most forward to reading every month. So yeah, I highly recommend. Especially since the reboot, it's there's been no better time for fans wanting to jump into it. There's a good jumping on point because beforehand, there was so much convoluted backstories and on-game like stuff. It was like I have no idea where to start.
Thank you.
Oh God, you're starting to sound like Marco.
Thank you.
You.
The thing about comic books having a extremely defined mythology, it's a double-edged sword. It's great if you've been following it from the beginning because you have this rich history to draw from. It's bad because it's harder for new readers to jump in and truly appreciate it. I mean, that's why DC launched the new 52 a few years ago to make it easier to get new readers in. And that's what I mean. I'll be honest with you, ever since the Mega Man book came out, I was hoping for Sonic to do a page one reboot because I love the Mega Man book as much as I like the Sonic book. The Archie Mega Man book is my favorite comic book I get every month.
Yeah,
it's hands down my favorite book I read. I love that book so much. But
I can relate to that because if it wasn't for the Mega Man comic book, I wouldn't be a fan of the franchise. That's how good of a writer he is.
At this point, without the Mega Man book, there would be no franchise to speak of because they're not doing anything with it.
Yep. And as for the whole being a monthly comic book reader, yeah, that was pretty much me. Because ever since I read Sonic, I started collecting a bunch of comic books to the point where my mom isn't happy.
Oh, it's weird, because I went in just because I didn't want to wait for the trades for Worlds Collide, so I went in thinking, I'll just get Sonic Universe and Mega Man for a few months, get Worlds Collide, and be done with it. But now, man, I get like 12 books a month. I'm reading, I get like Ninja Turtles, Spider-Man, Batman, kind of Afterlife of Archie, which is fantastic.
I know. See, Marcos.
I know, man. Issue 7 comes out on Wednesday. I'm so excited to read that. It's been like 2 months since last issue.
The day before my birthday, so it's just good. Apparently, the reason why it got delayed was because the artist was in a car accident, but he's
Oh
better now.
Christ!
Yeah,
That's
it was a minor accident. So.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
All right, so on to the next question. What's your opinion on the Boom franchise?
Where's that gun I had earlier?
Play
what?
Whoa!
You know what? Anyone who's been listening to the Brain Scratch LP, I don't hate Boom. It is clearly a flawed and broken game, but I don't think it's as bad as 06. I don't think it's not. If I was to rank like the top 10 worst games I've ever played, I don't think Boom would be on there. It's a blandly average game to me. I'm loving the comic book and the cartoon series. So if the kind of mediocre game is the worst part of the Boom franchise, I'll be fine because I'm grateful for the cartoon and comic book, so I'm grateful the games existed, and they finally gave us an Eggman in an Eggomatic toy. So that's something I'm also happy about.
Yeah. One thing I am kind of disappointed is there's something that's meant to introduce us to a new spin of the franchise.
Yep.
It does a very poor job of explaining anything.
How did these characters meet up? How did they become a team? Never explained.
And also, Lars of Lyric is not the worst Sonic game I've ever played. No, that still goes to Shadow.
Sonic 06!
But I got in an Marcos and I got in an argument with a friend, and he said, "Oh, well, that's what sequels are for. That's why they're going to the TV show that they'll probably explain things." And I have to say that's pretty much a poor. If that's what their attempt, that's a poor way of doing it.
I doubt. I'll be honest with you, unless the cartoon gets extremely well, I doubt we'll see a Boom sequel game.
Well, this cartoon is doing well, but that's not really saying much considering it's the only new thing.
It's really the only thing keeping it alive.
Something
the majority of it, anyway.
Something I think a lot of people, especially those at TSSC, need to realize like that. It's not something to be praising about. No offense to Donnie.
Hashtag Donnie is life.
And as for the game, another thing our friend said is like it's for kids, and
I literally got so angry.
Yeah,
I just look. That's the most stupidest excuse ever. It's because for kids, but really, there are other games you could play that are better than this, such as like movie license games, or like SpongeBob games, like SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom or Shrek 2, the video game. Those are better games. Those are good games right there. So the fact
I
that
haven't played either of those, so I can't comment.
But like this franchise has always appealed to kids, so it's like that's a weak excuse. That's like saying kids deserve bad games
because they're kids and they're stupid.
It's the only way they'll learn.
And also, I don't know. It's just it's bad.
Well, Deji, you heard my expressions throughout playing the game, recording me first time playing the game, encountering those awesome glitches that made me want to blow off my head off. And then
I woke up at 9 a.m. to GameStop to get that game.
I went at midnight. I was at midnight. I was the only person there to get it.
Oh, you poor.
I'm just grateful that I didn't buy the game digitally. Just gonna say that right now. That would have been a waste of my hard drive on the Wii U.
Every time I play it, I just feel as if they were trying to accomplish something greater, but due to executive meddling and deadlines that had to be met, they were forced to make it the way it is. Because you can tell that there's a lot of chunk and a lot of things they wanted to do.
Yeah, it feels a bit empty. Like there could have been more. Like it had more potential.
And the hub worlds are terrible.
Oh, Frygon Island, never again.
You're forced to play on the gamepad. Why don't they just have the map there?
Just at least Lost World that actually did something by putting a map on the gamepad while you were playing on the television. It's like With Boom, nope, you gotta pause the game. Oh, okay, fine. Where's the pointer or arrow to now I know which direction I'm going? Nope, it's not there. You gotta learn and, go suffer and play.
Yeah. I don't know whether or not Sega is going to continue the Boom franchise or sweep this under the rug. But
it'll depend on if the cartoon's successful. They will probably make more games.
On a positive note, the comic series is selling more than the main series, and I've been told it's on par in terms of sales with the My Little Pony books.
Huh, interesting.
And Adventure Time.
Oh, nice. Well, I mean, Sonic, with the exception of Afterlife of Archie, Sonic's always been their best-selling book.
Yeah.
So if Boom's doing even better than the main series, that's great news.
If only people can buy Mega Man so we can get X. So any expectations you have for the next installment of the franchise?
I have no idea what to expect at this point. I'm just waiting to see what they reveal. Because it'll probably be at some point early next year when they'll reveal what the next game is.
Yeah. But at this point, I just hope that they should take a 2-year break with the franchise.
Right. Have more time on their hands.
I know a lot of people give the Mario Nintendo flack for making a Mario game every year, except for this year. But at least those are actually consistently good.
Yeah, you could tell they actually, took their time and, made well into the games, Like, they actually cared. And if that's the right term I could use.
Moving out of Sonic, let's talk about Turtles.
TMNT. And I'll be asking you this question. What was your first exposure to TMNT?
Most likely the 80s cartoon.
Was it good, bad?
I remember loving it as a kid, and to this day I love it as well, but for different reasons. TMNT is one of those shows where like it's not high art or anything, but it's clearly like you get the jokes more. I think it's a funnier show if you watch it as an adult. It's kind of like the 60s Batman show. Like it's funnier if you watch it as an adult.
Some days you just can't get rid of a ball.
Exactly. Some days you just can't get rid of a shredder.
Oh, James Ivory, you were so good.
That was the worst start to this year.
Yeah, no.
That was legit the worst way to start this year, man.
Yeah.
The first day of 2014, rest in peace, Shredder / Uncle Phil.
This year has kind of been a bit down.
Celebrities,
especially with celebrities.
Yeah, the celebrities, yeah. Robin Williams, rest in peace, sir.
Who's your favorite turtle?
Donatello. He does machines.
Why?
Because so of the 4 turtles, 3 of them have like specific roles. Leonardo is their leader. Raphael is the muscle. Donatello is the brains. And I find, especially if you go by the old 80s cartoon show, and to a certain extent, I think the IDW comic book currently, Donatello's brains helps them out far more than, like, say, Raphael's strength. And Michelangelo doesn't really have... Michelangelo, in certain iterations, he's more of the heart of the team. Like, he's the one who's most connected to humanity. He's the one who cares. Although it's weird because Nickelodeon's cartoon kind of gave that character trait to Donnie. He's the one who seems to feel the most, like he wants to help more people than he ever seemed to at times. But especially in Nickelodeon, like Donatello, he saves them so often in that show. It should just be about him, really. Just get
rid of the April O'Neil stuff.
Please.
I think it's been drawn out. They need to
it's getting really
wrap
old.
that thing up now. It's getting really boring now. It's weird because I've seen a lot of people complain about, there's too much Donatello in the Nickelodeon show. But I'm like, name one other version of the franchise where he gets the spotlight. Like you can't. I'll give it to a certain extent. I would say that still leans more towards Leonardo. but Donatello, I love Donatello's dynamic in IDW. That's possibly my favorite interpretation of Donnie in IDW, because he just doesn't take crap from anyone. Like, that's what he just points, like he says, like Leonardo, you're an idiot, right? We need to do this. I'm smart. You're an idiot. Listen.
Yeah, he's a real
But like, to me, like, it's like Raphael he acts on pure emotion. So when he acts like a jerk, he's just like angry in the moment. Donatello acts on logic. Like, whenever there is an argument, I tend to find that, like, it's harder to disagree with Donatello, because what he says, like, currently in the book, there's a big thing where, like, Donatello is currently split off from the group because, you know, because there's the threat of Krang and the threat of Shredder. And everyone else wants to focus on Shredder first, because I guess he's the more immediate threat. But Donnie's like, the Krang are gonna take over the world, like the entire world. Shredder's just kind of like messing around with New York. Like, we need to take care of the Krang now before they take over the world. And everyone's like, we gotta do Shredder first. Come on. And Donnie's like, you guys idiots, I'm out of here. So like, I find myself, maybe this is just some bias because he's my favorite character, but I do tend to find, like, I have a hard time disagreeing with Donnie's views on things.
Yeah, because realistically, you should get rid of the bigger threat.
Exactly. Exactly.
Which, yeah, I really do like IDW TMNT.
I'm loving it, man. It's so good.
I only read the 10 issues of IDW. The first 10 issues, that's it.
I would recommend reading more. It's real good. It's real good.
See what I can do. Okay, on to the next question. What's your favorite TMNT movie? Please say the first one. Please say the first one. Please say the first one.
Of course, the first one.
Yes!
The one to pick.
I don't know, man. Did you see the third one? That was actually pretty. No.
I with the exception of TMNT 3, I have a soft spot for most of them. Like, I like Secret of the Use has good ideas. Its execution is bad. TMNT, the CGI film, looks great. The characterization of the turtles is spot on. Just the story is terrible. And I actually kind of liked the recent one. The live action reboot wasn't perfect, but it was, compared to the Transformers movies. Compared to the Transformers films, it was freaking Citizen Kane. So, you know.
Yeah, I was so glad that movie was actually wound up being good.
I liked it. I know most people don't share my opinion on that. Like, most people hated it, but I was surprised. Maybe just because I went in with like such low expectations.
Same here.
that they were met.
I think that's what happened. Like, I wasn't expecting much. I was like, huh, this is actually good. And if there's one thing that the 2014 movie did well, it was the humor. It knew how to make me laugh.
With the exception of the fart joke, and I would have turned down some of Michelangelo's more pervy comments to April O'Neil, but yeah, I agree. I did find myself laughing several times during that
Especially film. The ending.
That was fun. That was fun. That was such a pointless. That scene was in there just to sell toys off the Turtle Man.
Of course.
Like, it was such a pointless addition, but that joke was funny.
Same thing with the pizza. That was just there to promote the Pizza Hut.
I know, right?
Stupid product.
But at least the pizza thing was it fit in with their characters.
Yeah.
The van is just like, buy this toy.
In the Mirage comics, were they ever in love with the pizza thing? Or?
No, the pizza thing came from the cartoon show.
Okay.
Mirage comics is awesome.
And you've gone on record saying, you've told me before that there was one guy who made the TMNT famous. Who was it?
Oh, okay, so the writer for the cartoon shows, the man called David Wise, pretty big name in terms of 80s TV animation. He developed the show. He knew of the comic book, wasn't a big fan of it, but he took the basic ideas. I mean, you can make the case that about that cartoon show, TMNT may not even be around anymore. You know, and so he's the one who kind of there's things where I disagree with what he says. He said at the point he developed the cartoon show, the turtles themselves had no personality. I disagree.
Right.
At that point, in issue 1, you can make the case that TMNT issue 1, none of them really have a discernible personality.
No.
They're just kind of 4 highly skilled ninjas. Raphael gets a nice scene to himself. He has a mission to do by himself, but none of them really have any discernible personality. I would argue, starting with issue 2, they start laying the seeds of what they have. They establish Raphael as the violent, hot-tempered one. There's some nice little scenes where they have like Donatello messing around with like a circuit board. So you can like, oh, like he's at least technical. He can do stuff for that stuff.
Right.
So I disagree with his assertion that they had no personality. Although he's like, it's weird because the TMNT cartoon is unique in the fact that it's the only one where Raphael isn't the violent one. He's kind of just like a comedic person, which is normally Michelangelo's job. But yeah, so you could, and I agree that it's pretty much thanks to David Wise that TMNT got as famous as it was. I still think you can't take credit away from Eastman and Laird, which sometimes in certain interviews David Wise has said that that he wasn't a big fan of the original stuff. He thought it was kind of badly written and terrible. But like he does say they came up with good ideas, but their execution was bad. I don't necessarily agree with that, but you can't take away David Wise's participation in making TMNT as big as it is today.
So it's pretty much like the same effect that live action Sabrina the Teenage Witch starring Sabrina. It's Melissa Joan Hart. It's the reason why many people remember the franchise to begin with.
I would kind of, but the difference is that Sabrina had been around for like decades before that. Yeah. Like the cartoon came out like 2 years after the comic was released. So kind of, it's the same basic idea. That obviously that show made the franchise more popular, but the franchise had already. I believe Cena was made in like the 60s or something. So like it had been around for like 30 years before that show came out. So like it's kind of the same thing, yeah.
All right. What's your favorite incarnation and least favorite incarnation of the franchise?
Of Turtles? Well, obviously least favorite is Next Mutation. Let's just all pretend lives. Favorite, I actually may go for IDW. Maybe IDW. I do have a soft spot for the first few seasons of the 4Kid show before they just got incredibly insane.
Yeah,
all downhill.
Mystical Leonardo and
what's that outer space?
It's funny where, like, in Turtles Forever, they constantly make jokes at how stupid the 80s show was. Like, did you watch your own cartoon?
Yeah.
Like, at least when the 80s show got stupid, it was a comedy show to begin with. Like, 4Kids just went insane. And, like, so, I mean, the fact that you have a season where every episode they go into the internet to fight Shredder, you are not allowed to criticize anything else for being stupid, okay?
Or they all turn into dragons.
Oh,
what the hell was that?
Or they turn into the future.
Oh my god, don't remind me.
Let's just pretend that never happened, please.
Fast Forward wasn't bad.
Yes, it was.
It was just forgettable.
I remember for all the wrong reasons, sir.
I tried watching it. I didn't get past the theme song, so.
I remember when my brother sat down watching Fast Forward with me, and he sees the intro. He looks at me and was like, "Wow, you kids today have no idea what you're missing." I tried to convince him, but no, the show's good. It's just not this one.
All right. For the next question, what's your opinion on the Bay production?
The what now?
The Bay.
Michael Bay.
Oh, I thought you were referring to that stupid BAE word. It's like,
What?
What?
You know, people say that's my Bay. It's like, shut the fudge up.
What?
Michael Bay. You know what? I don't care for, apart from Bad Boys 1, I don't care for any of his movies. I'm glad he's not directing Transformers 5. That's just again kind of like Next Mutation. Let's just close our eyes and pretend it never happened.
You mean Energon? Because I really hated that series of Transformers.
Oh yeah, Transformers. I'll be honest with you. If you line up all the different Transformers cartoons, most of them have been bad.
Yeah. Armada was good. Then after that, I just
I would say no.
No, I dislike Armada.
Maybe it's just nostalgia. I need to go back and watch it.
I would recommend that. As I really have to take a whiz. Can we take a little break?
Okay.
Right? Take a whiz. Thank you.
And we're back. So you were saying about the Bay movies?
Yeah. Is this in regards to Transformers or Turtles?
Both.
Or the
in general.
Michael Bay. Transformers. I didn't much care for the first one after seeing it, but with it's weird. Each subsequent movie makes the first one look better by comparison. Because it's like you can tell with the first one they were kind of trying with that one. They failed, but at least they tried, which is more than I can say about any of the other ones they had. And in terms of Turtles, after watching it, after watching the live action Turtles, I was just like, give this crew the Transformers movies. Because like it's not high art, it's not amazing, but I'll take this over the Transformers movies any day of the week.
I think it was more like the fact that how everyone was reacting. That's why they had to try. Because remember, there were originally going to be aliens. I believe Casey and April were going to be a crazy couple.
Yeah, well, like, this goes back to the whole thing. Well, like, originally they wanted to just call it Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But, like, fan backlash made them add the Teenage Mutant. But if you look at the official logo for that movie, like, Ninja Turtles is massive.
Yeah.
He added back Teenage Mutant very tiny font above Ninja. It always made me laugh.
As for the Bay movies, the first one was fine, except for the masturbating part. I really wish we didn't have to go through that one, especially since my school.
Because it's teenagers, and that's funny.
My middle school showed that to us when we had when all the 7th graders were done with taking the test. So they just played this movie, and then when we got to the masturbation, everyone was like, "Wait, what?"
Transformers.
Revenge of the Fallen. I liked it at first.
Revenge of the Fallen may be one of the worst movies ever made by anyone.
It's racist.
The worst part about that was I saw that on my middle school graduation.
You poor soul.
Poor bastard.
And that was the same day Michael Jackson died.
Oh.
What double whammy of crapness.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And before we get out of this, I need to ask you something really important. You've gone on record saying that you don't like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Why?
Yay.
It's The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has the best interpretation of the Spider-Man character from any of the Spider-Man films. He is the most Spider-Man-like in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Everything else is terrible.
Would you care to elaborate on that, sir?
Electro is one of the worst villains ever.
You mean Riddler from Batman Forever?
Yeah, exactly. Riddler from Batman Forever. Like, everything about him is just terrible. In some cases, you can either blame the script or the actor. I blame everyone involved in terms of Electro, and it sucks because Jamie Foxx is such a good actor. And
Spider-Man, I bet you didn't see this coming. And he gets right off my car.
Oh my gosh! Like the scene, it's weird because they changed his backstory. I had no problem with them kind of making him more sympathetic, but the scene where he's speaking to himself as if Spider-Man's there on his birthday, I was like, this guy's insane. Like, he's not like. The problem with me is he's not likable as Max Dillon. He's a douche. He's an insane douche. And like, yeah, it sucks that everyone craps on him, but I'm not saying he deserves it. But he acts like a twat to people. Like in the scene where he speaks with Gwen Stacy, like he lies about like some important party. Like, oh, sorry, but you're not on the guest list. Like, what? Why make up that lie? Like, why? Just oh god, like it's good to know that the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is going to put dentists out of a job, because it's good to know if you have a gap in your teeth, just get electrocuted and it will fix the gap in your teeth. Good stuff. And like, I didn't like his music. Like, they had that weird kind of like rap in the background, like explaining stuff. Like, he's lying. They're out to get you. It's like, what the f is that?
I saw that in the theaters. I was confused as heck.
I laughed. I thought it was funny as shit. It's so dumb.
I was like thinking of Gollum from Lord of the Rings or something.
I know, right? It's such a shame. And like, Green Goblin is.
I think he was kind of shoehorned in, really. It was kind of too fast for him to become Green Goblin. And he's like saying, "Oh, Peter, finally cure." It's like, dude, your father's like survived for like over 5 decades, and so you act like you're gonna die in like 5 minutes. Calm down, you have years.
The thing that makes Green Goblin go insane is the scene where Spider-Man goes to him. It's like, sorry, I can't help you. If he hadn't done that, like literally, like I don't get what Peter was trying to achieve with that scene.
That was a dick move.
It was a complete dick move, because it dangles, because as soon as Spider-Man arrives, he's dangling the hope of curing him. And he's like, sorry, I ain't gonna do it. Bye. It's like, what a dick move, Peter. Like, what twat.
He's like, yo, Harry, your friend Peter sent me here, and I just gotta see, I can give you my blood. Adios.
It's just, and again, it's annoying, because when it's good, like, just Spider-Man stuff, when it's good, it's like, some of my favorite superhero movie moments ever. But the bad is so bad.
Right, the bad overweighs the good, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately it does. Like, again, I love Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I think he's given better material than Tobey Maguire was. Like, I like, with the exception of 3, but we all know that. I like the Tobey Maguire films, but that's not really Spider-Man.
It's more Peter Parker.
Even then, even Peter Parker was like, he's a jokester. He would tell jokes. Like, there's like, in the span of 3 films, there's like maybe 2 jokes that Spider-Man says. I have a friend like TJ on the Packrat show. He loves the scene with the kid and the wind turbine. Like that's such a Spider-Man moment. It's a shame that everything else is just mine, and all the stuff with his parents. No one gives a crap. No one gives an absolute crap about that.
I think the scene with the little boy at the end just made me angry.
Why didn't they shoot the rhino in the head when he was unprotected?
Pretty much, I
would say worse than the crane scene in the first movie.
The crane scene is not that bad. I understand why people complain about it, but it's not as bad as the rhino one with the scene with the kid.
The crane scene, it's the crane scene feels like something from the Sam Raimi films. Because the Sam Raimi films always had those corny moments, like in the first one when like the New Yorkers start attacking the Green Goblin.
Yeah, but this one is like, if you have to analyze it, he sprays his leg with his web, so it just makes the entire scene pointless.
Which is weird, because the fact that he gets shot is not like you'd think, because there's a bit in that when like he has like the blood on his hand and he leaves like a bloody handprint on a wall, and they linger on it so much you're like, oh, they may come back to this in a sequel. LOL, no.
Who knows? Maybe when we get the Amazing Spider-Man 3, we may get the Clone Saga.
And
oh god, we're gonna get like an Aunt May spin-off film first, and like better and shit. Like, who gives a crap?
And when Electro got ran over by a car, I was just thinking of Iron Man 3 when the man said, "I'm the Mandarin." Like, no. No.
Yeah, let's just hope.
Yeah.
Let's just hope that Sony sells back the Spider-Man rights to Marvel.
Right.
Still pray for that.
They're just so fucking stubborn to not sell it because they think, oh, wait, we're still doing fine with the Spider-Man franchise.
Because that's all they have left.
That's
like, okay, they
Sony have a bunch of franchises, but in terms of like a long-going franchise, I think Spider-Man may be one of their only like name brand stuff. I mean, they have stuff like
they have Men in Black, but I don't think anyone will care anymore.
I think that's kind of done. Like they're doing well with like the 21 Jump Street films with theirs and doing good. Like, they still put out good films. They don't have the franchises with longevity the way that say 20th Century Fox or Disney does. You know.
Yeah.
So which is probably why they want to keep on to Spider-Man so much.
Like I don't think anyone cares about the Smurfs. The live-action Sonic movie might be a disaster, and that Sabrina movie that they announced years ago is still in development hell.
They did Sabrina, but I didn't even know that.
They said it was going to be a dark and edgy reboot. I was like, yeah.
Hey, they're doing it in the comics, The Chilling Tales of Sabrina.
Yeah. That's if Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated and Afterlife of Archie taught me anything.
You can't really compare Mystery Inc. with Afterlife of Archie.
Fine.
You can't really, it's not really fair.
No. I was going to say, if those two taught me anything, like you can reinvent characters and have in a serious situation.
Mystery Inc. is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it can work. It's just like don't shadow the hedge on fire. Yes.
Huh. Okay. So on to the last topic. On to Mega Man. We know you're in
the comic, but what's your favorite game?
Mega Man 3.
Okay. And your favorite character?
This is more from the comic book, but Proto Man.
Yeah, because of his backstory, it's really good.
His backstory and just how his internal conflict. It's Proto Man is the way. I guess again, it's more so the way that Ian writes him. But yeah, so good.
And any expectations for Worlds Unite?
I'm surprised they're doing it so soon. I'll be honest with you. I have no idea what they're gonna do. I mean, I trust Ian with what he's doing. I don't think they're gonna rehash it. The issue is that no one on the Mega Man side remembers except for Xander Payne. Yeah, so.
But that's only because he time traveled.
Yeah, so it's I don't know how they're gonna. I hope they don't waste. I doubt they will. They probably won't waste 4 issues. Setting up the story again, because I think it's only gonna be about 8. I think they said. But
Actually, I was listening to the Riverdale podcast, and Paul Kaminsky was there. He did say that everyone who was worried about it interrupting the main series will be fine, and everyone who wanted Worlds Collide to be longer should be fine. So I'm guessing it's going to be like a spin-off, like it's a mini-series.
Oh no, because Ian Flynn confirmed it wasn't.
Oh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna have to go. Marcos, you can end this up, and hopefully to speak to you later, Gareth.
Okay.
Awesome. You too, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. But it's the end of the interview. Thank you, Gareth, for accepting the interview. It was really great. Talking to you and getting to know more.
Oh well, thank you so much for asking. I'm always happy to speak about myself. I'm an incredible narcissist, but thank you for asking. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Good. Thank you. Okay.